Starting with shot sizes, the various sizes go by names that are meant to make them easier to communicate. The full shot includes the feet in the frame. The medium full shot is a tighter full shot that crops around the knees. The cowboy shot is framed to include a cowboy's gun, a carryover from westerns. The medium shot cuts just below the waist. After this, we have a couple of close shots. First, the medium close shot, which cuts just above the waist. And then the close shot, which cuts by the character's breast area. Above this, we have a number of close-ups. First, the wide close-up, then the full close-up, then the medium close-up, and finally the extreme close-up. Too much credit is given to these names because they aren't exact and most people don't agree on what they mean or even use the same words. And if the character needs to move, which he usually does, the terms become meaningless. So all shot sizes are sort of. Here we're sort of in a medium close. A quicker and more precise way to communicate shot sizes is to simply walk over to the character and physically show the top and bottom of where the frame should crop. When picking shot sizes, a useful convention is to avoid cropping characters at leg joints. Here we're cutting him off at the knees, which can make him look amputated. So let's crop him in the middle of the thighs. If we need to be any wider, it's better to go to a full shot because cropping him in the middle of the calf tends to make him look like he's standing in something. And the same happens when cropping at the ankles. When we have the choice, this whole area is the least forgiving place to crop and makes sense to avoid. We simply pick shot sizes based on how identified or intimate we want to be with the character. If she's deeply personal and open about her feelings, we don't want to be this wide. And if she's talking about something ordinary, we don't want to be this close unless it has very personal meaning. Being too close can feel severe if we don't know a character because intimacy takes time. In the course of a story, we start out not knowing the characters, so in the beginning we'll lean towards full shots and medium shots, moving on to closer shots. As we gradually get to know the characters, we can better accept going closer without feeling forced. We can then save extreme close-ups for late in a story where our relationship with them has become personal. Moving out from full shots, we become less and less intimate with the character. As she gets smaller in the frame with more space around her, she begins to appear lonely or insignificant. To quickly run down the basic shot types, this is a single shot. This is a two shot. This is a three shot. And so forth. An insert is a close-up on a part of the scene. A POV, or point of view, is seeing the scene from the character's perspective. The most basic dialogue setup is two matching over-the-shoulder shots and two matching close-ups and all two cameras on each character. The technical names for these pairs are internal and external reverses because the close-ups are inside the space between the characters and the over-the-shoulders are outside. A normal editing pattern is to cut between the external shots, and then at some point as we get deeper into the dialogue to move in and cut between the internal shots. If we want to become less personal again, we can go back to the external shots. We can easily have different shot sizes on each character. Here we're more identified with the woman and less with the man. If we turn that around, we're now more identified with the man and less with the woman. Another way to control our level of identification with the characters is with our distance to the eye line. With the camera out here, we're very far away from the eye line and we're detached from the dialogue. As the camera gets closer to the eye line, we become more involved. The further we are from the eye line, the more objective and impersonal the shot is. As we get closer to the eye line, we become more involved, saving rubbing against the eye line for very personal scenes. An elegant technique can be to place close-ups closer to the eye line than over the shoulders. So starting in an over-the-shoulder that's further away from the eye line, as we cut close, we're also moving closer to the eye line and becoming more personal. With several cameras on a character, the shot sizes need to be different enough to avoid a jump cut. Here the cameras are too similar. As we cut from the wide camera to the closer camera, we get a jolt because the shots aren't different enough. So let's make the wide shot wider. Starting in the wider shot, the cut is smooth because we understand it as a cut. Cutting from shot sizes that are very different can also be jumpy, but doesn't come across as a mistake. Starting in a very wide shot, the cut close is startling but still makes sense visually. It's fine to place cameras on a character at different angles. But as shot sizes need to be different enough, so do angles. If we're cutting to a camera at only a slightly different angle, we get the same type of jump as before. The rule of thumb is that shot sizes or angles should be at least 20% different, but that's a little on the low end. Master shots have several meanings. The first is a wide shot that records the entire scene. So we'll start the scene in the master, then cut to the external shot on the man, the internal shot on the red woman, and the external shot on the blue woman. The women walk out, and we cut back into the master as he remains alone in the room. We can place the master anywhere we want as long as we stay on the same side of the action as the other cameras. But we have potential continuity problems cutting back into a master because the actor's performance has changed during the day, which is easier to hide in closer shots. It's also a waste of film and the actor's energy to shoot masters that we're only going to use at the beginning or end. So instead of shooting long masters, which is the convention, let's treat it as simply another wide shot and concentrate on the part we know we want to use. The second meaning of a master is a camera at a right angle to a reverse shot setup. If a POV is seeing the scene in the first person, an over-the-shoulder would be seeing it in the second person. A right-angle master is then the third person. In editing, much of what we're doing is controlling how we're identifying with the characters. It can be very useful to have a neutral camera that detaches from them both.